A very messy Texas race finds NASCAR's most popular driver back in victory lane, and boy was it a road to get there. Let's chat about it. Hey everyone, it's Taylor and welcome back to Above the Yellow Line, where we do motorsports media your way, talking about NASCAR literally all the time. I'm going to read a stat for you. This race at Texas Motor Speedway holds the record for the most cautions for a 1.5-mile track with a scheduled distance of 400 miles, according to the Fox broadcast. If that doesn't tell you what type of race this was, I don't know what to tell you. Watch the race again, I don't know. There were 16 cautions, including stage breaks, for this event, many of those involving some of the top contenders of the race, and we'll get to that in just a second. But the driver to be the best of the rest, able to withstand, I should say, all of that mess, was Chase Elliott. Breaking a 42 race winless streak, is finally back in victory lane, and that actually feels really good to say. The question on everyone's mind last year, and it was a throwaway year, was when is Chase Elliott going to be back? We don't know, what's happening to the 9 team? Everyone's like, fire Alan Gustafson. I didn't buy any of that crap. I really didn't. I knew that the 9 team just needed to forget last season, forget 2023. It was kind of a throwaway. Head into this year guns a-blazing, and the Chase Elliott we have seen this year has been incredibly refreshing. He has been hungry for wins. He has been very aggressive, making bold moves on the track, not taking crap from anybody. He is going out there looking for a race win, and he's finally able to do that. And speaking of those who think that Alan Gustafson should go away, Alan Gustafson gave him the track position with a call to keep him on the track, hoping for a caution, which did come with Jimmy Johnson earlier in the race, to have good track position when everything went back green and maintain it the rest of the day. With a track like Texas, you need good track position. Alan Gustafson knew that. He gambled, and it paid off big time. I had to put that out there because Alan has gotten so much crap over the past few years. He is the one that helped Chase Elliott get the championship in 2020. He is the one that has been with Chase Elliott for his Cup Series wins. I don't understand it. One offseason cannot mean that Alan is absolute crap. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Alan is what helped Chase Elliott get the win today, besides Chase Elliott's just fantastic driving. That's it. And the team setting up a great car. Regardless, that's my rant over. But let's get back to Chase Elliott and his wins throughout his career, because I'm not actually surprised he finally won at this point in the season. When I talk about Chase Elliott, I talk about him as a driver that typically wins in the back half of the year, or he has that summer slump. But when you look at his stats, May and April are very good months for him. That's typically where he gets that first win of the season. If we look back to 2020, he got his first win on race 8 of that year, and then he went on to have a total of 5 wins that year, and of course the championship. If you look at 2022, his first win came on the 11th race of the year. He also collected 5 wins that season. Now, does that mean Chase Elliott is going to get 5 wins in 2024? I don't think so. I think William Byron, his teammate, is well on his way to do that, and he'll probably surpass that this year. That's just my guess. But when you look at this schedule and how it plays out, it plays in Chase Elliott's favor. Next week we have Talladega, or should I say this coming week. Elliott is great at drafting style tracks. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. He's finally figuring out the road courses with this Gen 7 car. They haven't really played in his favor with this new setup. I know other drivers like Ross Chastain, even Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, for instance, kind of have the road courses figured out with this new style car. Chase Elliott, I think, is on the way to getting things figured out, set up, etc. And now, of course, with the 1.5 miles, the short tracks, etc., we're seeing Chase Elliott be a contender to win almost everywhere. It's just a matter of him actually getting that win. So, not saying that he's going to be the champion this year by any means, not saying that he's going to rack up more than 5 wins. If he does, call me wrong. But Chase Elliott, I think, is back if you consider his performance so far this year. I mentioned this race had a lot of cautions. A lot of the contenders for this race that had top tier cars heading into these 400 miles were taken out with these cautions. They were causes of cautions. Let's just go down a list. I literally have a list of drivers right in front of me that I want to talk about, starting with Larson. He had the most dominant car going into this weekend, got the pole. He was a shoo-in to win this race, had the lead early on, dominated the first stage. And then with 8 to go, he was taken 4 wide and he got himself into the wall. He also had a tire that came off during one of the cautions. That was a 2-lap penalty for that team, but I don't necessarily mention that because he was able to come back from that. That was fine. It was really what did him in was that caution with 8 to go. So again, a dominant car for Kyle Larson, has a dominant car practically everywhere we go. Didn't work out for him. Let's move on to Ross Chastain, who could have won this race. He was side by side with Chase Elliott on that final restart, and then things did not go well. William Byron, who was behind the leaders, got a really solid run, kind of had a run-in with Brad Keselowski, and then came up on Ross Chastain just way too fast. And then Chastain got hit and it sent him into the wall to the back of the pack. He finished, I believe, 32nd. Let's talk about Ty Gibbs, who was one of the favorites going into this race as well. Again, with Ty Gibbs, as we talk about on this show every single week, he's a contender to win, then something happens. On one of the pit stops, the socket was stuck in the left rear wheel. He had to come back down the pit road, get that situated. I've never seen that happen before, so that was a new occurrence. And then a few restarts later, he and Bubba Wallace had some contact around like the 12th and 13th position, and it sent them farther back in the pack. Just was not a good day for Ty Gibbs. He will move on to Talladega. He should be fine. Ryan Blaney was another car that had great speed in the pack. Unfortunately, though, he pulled out one of the cautions when Brian Preece made contact with him, sent him into the wall, had some significant damage. He, I believe, finished the race around 8 laps down. And then Tyler Reddick, there were more issues with that pit crew. I understand that we talk about Tyler Reddick's pit crew pretty much on a weekly basis. There are a lot of other pit crews that I believe we could also be talking about in the same light, but with the issue being pretty prevalent with Tyler Reddick leading some of this race, I think it's important to mention that there was another miscue. And listen, the pit crew, their job is so stinking hard. I could never do what they do, period. It just sucks that week after week, I feel like we're constantly seeing Reddick's performance be a little off from what we could see with him because the pit stops might be a little slower, there might be a mistake. So it's just cleaning up those mistakes. He was able to rally from that. He did get into the wall later in the race, but out of all the drivers I just mentioned there, on the main ones, we have Blaney, Gibbs, Chastain, and Larson. He was the only one to rally back for a top 10 finish, a top 5 finish actually. So good for Tyler Reddick. He should have or could have probably won the race, but rebounding to get that position, pretty solid. In that second position, we have Brad Keselowski, another race where he probably could have won, but he actually talked about after the race his frustration that their Fords can just not find speed no matter what he does. He's feeling really confident going into these races. These are great races and great tracks for him, but the Mustang just does not have the speed that he would like. He goes, quote, "The driver in me is frustrated because I feel like these are races I'm good enough to win and we don't have the speed to do it. Only reason I am mad as hell is it's my fault for not making the cars faster. As a team owner, he kind of has a role in that a little bit. As a driver, he can also kind of steer the ship in what can make his car a little bit better handling, at least for himself. So I get that frustration. Hopefully in the next few weeks, these Fords start to pick it up. Ford has yet to win in the Cup Series this year. So maybe we'll see at Talladega. Everyone, I think, is looking forward to seeing what the Fords can do at Talladega because we know they are great at these drafting style tracks. It's just a matter of can one of them close it out? I don't know. I mentioned Tyler Reddick in 4th place, 5th Daniel Suarez, 6th Chase Briscoe, 7th Bubba Wallace. I picked him to win this race. He led the most laps in the fall and unfortunately just fell short of that win. So I was hoping going into the spring, maybe we could see some of the speed play out as well here. It was an up and down day for Bubba Wallace, but again, rebounding for a top 10 is fantastic. 8th, we have Austin Dillon. This is his best finish of the entire season. His best finish before this was 16th at Las Vegas, a much needed top 10 for that 3 team, like by far. Speaking of that, his teammate in 9th, Kyle Busch, he won the truck race, so great for him. It was actually a really great truck race, a great battle, multiple leaders. But with this one, he had to go to a backup car, was in and out of the top 10, top 15, top 20. He had a really rough race. And then to finish again inside the top 10 is fantastic. And 10th, Carson Hocevar. This is his best finish of the season as well. So good job for Carson Hocevar in that 77. I want to circle back to the drivers that I talked about who had pretty good cars and then just probably didn't finish the race well. I mentioned that Tyler Reddick is the only one to really rebound from that. The other drivers, Ryan Blaney was 8 laps down, finishing in 33rd, Ross Chastain 32nd, Larson 21st, and Gibbs 13th. I do want to talk about one other driver, Denny Hamlin. Again, a weekly contender for a race win, and the same thing happened here. He was actually battling side by side with Chase Elliott for the lead on that overtime finish. And we saw this throughout the entirety of the race. That second place car tended to get loose on the outside of first place, just losing air, didn't have what he needed, and then spun. So unfortunate there. We could have seen a Denny Hamlin win. We didn't, but that's fine. It's okay. It's how it played out. Typically, at this point, I go into one of the key storylines of the race. What did I notice? And I think throughout talking about those finishing results, we have our key storyline, which was just chaos and varying strategy. We saw that some of the pit stops and what cars decided to go to pit road and not during these cautions really benefited or hurt these teams based off of where these yellow flags fell. And I want to take it back to what I said earlier, is Talladega is this coming weekend. It's gonna get chaotic all over again. I feel like the past few weeks of racing have kind of been bizarre, not off-putting, but just bizarre. And I think going into this Texas race, we expected something that was pretty tame, pretty calm, but we didn't get that. And part of me is glad we didn't get that because, again, when we saw the leader, when we had a green flag run, we saw the leader get like a 5-second lead. Nobody could even get close, nobody could pass, and it got a little frustrating. But because of the chaos, because of the cautions, because of the treacherous conditions that Texas has or can have, especially with those bumps in turn 4, we actually saw a pretty interesting Texas race, dare I say. I know we give Texas Motor Speedway a lot of crap. I do too. It's nothing against the facility, nothing against the people that run the track. It is strictly that the product just is not there. But as we've said about the Gen 7 car, it has saved 1.5-mile races. I think it is the same thing with this. I said this last year. I think I've said this for every single Texas race that we've had with this Gen 7 car, is that it is better than what we had prior. Again, I wish we had more green flag runs to really get a feel for what Texas is like without just the mess. But this was not a bad race by any means, at least to me. And I think something important to also mention too is that I think the racing in person, if you were in the stands, is going to be better than what we saw on TV. This is nothing against Fox, nothing against the broadcast, but it's true. When you are at the track, you have a full view of everything, every turn, everything you want. With the broadcast, we're relying on what the camera shows us. And I think a lot of those battles in the mid-pack and towards the back of the pack, especially at this Texas race, would have been very compelling. So I'm banking off of that. I'm banking off of what I saw on social media, some of the videos I saw, some of the comments I saw too from those who were at the track talking about how good this race actually was. I'm taking that all into consideration here. So with that said, I'm actually going to give this race a 74% above the yellow line by a good margin. I do want to go back real quick and make a note about the short tracks. I should have mentioned this in my recap there. I'm going to mention this here. I am so sick of talking about how awful the short track package is. We know it's awful. We've been talking about this since the Gen 7 car was introduced. I get it. NASCAR is trying to do their best with it. The teams are trying to offer feedback. I hope that feedback is taken. But that rating that I gave to Martinsville and even Richmond is more based off of the understanding of this is the package we have right now. This is the product we have right now. I'm going to rate it as such. So I'm not going to keep rating those races like a 30% or a 40% because it's like, oh, short track package, gross. No, if that's the package we're going to get, I'm going to rank them accordingly. So I did want to put that out there too. If some of you guys were like, why would you give Martinsville like a high 50, mid 60%? That makes no sense. Well, hopefully that helps you understand the race rating. But what would you rate Texas? Again, I gave it a 74%. I don't know if you agree or not. Let me know in the comments below. We did take a week off of the live stream. We'll be back at it this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the TobyChristieCom YouTube and Facebook pages. So make sure to check us out there. Get in on the conversation. Also make sure to go to TobyChristie.com for more NASCAR news and AboveTheYellowLine.com to get your ATYL merch and learn more about what we have going on. It's been a fun past few weeks. I saw some dirt track racing. I've been to the track back to back from Richmond to Martinsville. It's been insane. So we have a lot of great content coming out on all of our social handles. All of those are on our websites and in the link in the description below. Before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends and family. It helps us out here. And until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.